grab a cup of hot tea, mug of coffee, whatever you got going on this morning. And we will get started here in about 6 minutes. Sorry guys, just had to make sure that the YouTube live thing was working for us. And so far so good. All right, so we've got 5 minutes to go before we get kicked off here. Nicole is actually getting us started in the chat. If anybody wants to drop in the chat or come off mute to tell us where you're joining us from. I know I'm always really surprised at the reach that we get on these chat and learns. So to start us off, we've got Nicole, who's joining us from Buenos Aires. I'm coming in from Ohio. And Haneen, are you still in Palestine?
Yep.
Yeah, so we got around the world with PowerToFly this morning. Well, let's see, we've got Portland, Oregon, Columbus, Ohio. Oh, Christina, I think I remember you from a previous chat last week. Lacey's coming in from Missouri. I've got my best friend lives in Missouri now, so we've got good company out there, Lacey. Lisa is in UK in the Lake District. I have no idea what that means. I know UK obviously, but Lake District is unfamiliar to me. So thank you, Lisa, for joining us. Eleanor's coming in from Chicago. That's pretty sweet. Eleanor, I've been super jealous of your mayor, and whoever manages her social media is just genius. All the Lori Lightfoot memes are absolutely killing me. They're very, very funny. All right. And then everybody, as we see people joining here, we've got another 4 minutes to go. I'm really interested to hear from our community members, especially people like you who come to these earlier morning sessions. If there's anything else you're interested in learning about, types of people, or just, particularly people you're interested in hearing from, as we're building up this chat and learn and building out our office hours template for this product to bring to our community and to our clients, we'd love to make sure that we're teaching and bringing you guys the resources that you want to learn from and what you want to learn about. So please feel free to put up in the chat or come off mute and discuss with us. Maybe you're interested in learning more about entrepreneurship. Maybe you're interested in learning more about like your side hustle and how to keep that going in times like this. Lacey's in here saying, would love to learn more about resume formatting. That's a good one. Lacey, I'd absolutely encourage you to join our career sessions. Heather Cole, she's our career counselor. She does both paid sessions and she does free sessions. I think it's like 2 or 3 times a month, but she'll have like a free session where she'll go over basic resume formatting or how to ace your next interview. You can check those out. I'll put a link in the chat right now, but you can check them out on our website. And there's also like backlogs of them too. So you can go back and see like, past advice she's given maybe in the last couple of weeks. Let's see here. I'll get you guys the link to that so you can see it. You can find it on our website under events and then recorded live chats. And I'm throwing the link in the Zoom chat right now, but that link right there is how you get to all of you can do a search of all of our past recorded videos. So it's our whole video library. You can search by keyword. You can also search by if you knew maybe like the title of the chat and learn you're looking for, or if you want to see chat and learns from a specific company, you can look at those there too. There's also categories on a drop-down menu that'll help you kind of, if you're just sort of looking around the video library and aren't sure where to start, I would start with the drop-down categories and you can kind of sort from there. There's categories for different roles like PR or sales or customer success, but then there's also categories for things like our parents panel or remote work or technology focused chats. Thank you, Lacey. I'm glad you're getting value out of it. Hopefully everybody comes away from these office hours sessions with better tools to help manage their job search, but also we really want to make sure that you all are getting the full, enjoying the full perks of what you can from PowerToFly. We have so many resources that are available and are free to use, and we want to make sure that people are absolutely getting the most out of them. All right, so we've got about 60 seconds here until we get started. I'm super, super excited to dig into these questions with you guys. Let's see. As soon as we hit 10:30, I will launch into my little like intro spiel. I'll try and make that as quick as possible, and that way we can get to our office hours questions here that you guys have asked ahead of time for Haneen. All right, so I'm going to hit record here, and we will get started. All right, good morning, happy Monday. Welcome to the next week, guys. Thanks so much for joining PowerToFly this morning for office hours. In case you don't know, my name is Meg. I am your host today. I'm part of the PowerToFly marketing team, and I'm here with Haneen, who is one of our talent advocates. Haneen actually trained me when I started working at PowerToFly over a year ago, and she's absolutely amazing. For those of you who don't know, talent advocates are people who behind the scenes at PowerToFly help work to fill either roles that client companies have brought us, or we look to maybe give them a list for a specific position. But these are the people who help connect people like our community members, our talent, with our client companies and with our partner companies. So Haneen is in this really awesome position where she can tell you what she looks for when she's sourcing, how to stand out, that kind of thing. And she's just been in the trenches for so long. She's got lots of great tips for us. So to get started here, real quick, if you want to participate and come off mute to ask a question, we absolutely encourage that. If you want to turn on your cameras so you can participate and maybe see some fresh faces in front of you, you're more than welcome to do that as well. No pressure if you don't want to, that's totally fine. The one thing we ask is if you're going to come off mute, try not to crosstalk, try not to talk over other people. We just kind of do our best to be polite. And then once you're no longer speaking, I recommend that you mute. I'll be doing the same thing so that nobody hears the bulldogs snoring on my couch in the corner over here. It just helps to make sure that everybody can hear clearly what's going on, what's being said. So as we get started today, we've got a couple of pre-submitted questions, but like I had said earlier, please feel free to come off mute and ask questions if you've got them. We want to make sure that you as our audience get the most that you can out of today's chat. So without further ado, Haneen, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
That was an amazing introduction.
Well, she's got great skills, guys, really great skills and really awesome knowledge base here. So I want to make sure we get the most we can out of Haneen today. So for those of you that don't know, Haneen's also joining us from Palestine. So she's at, what time is it today where you are, Haneen?
It's 5:30 right now.
Okay, so Haneen's about to wrap up her Monday, and she's going to help us kind of kick ours off right. So one of the big questions that I wanted to pull from our pre-submitted questions list was about how to stand out and make yourself, make your resume, make your profile stand out when you're applying for remote roles. Are there any quick tips that you could give to the people that tuned in today about how to do that?
Definitely. The one thing that we always say, use the job description as your reference. Basically, job description is your cheat sheet. Some people have one resume template and they use it for any job application they apply for. Do not do that. Have an open document that you change based on the application you are applying for. Use the same words that are used in the job description. And the main thing that you should always do is change the title and the header of your resume. If they're looking for an account manager, change the customer success to something that sounds more like account manager, for example, and so on. So always use the terms that are used by the company itself. Companies have different terms for the same things. Just use their terms to update yours and kick it in the application systems.
I never would have thought to rename the title of the file. That's super smart, because otherwise you just get it like rewriting the same doc, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, very smart.
You want to stand up.
Yeah. All right. So this person has a question saying, I would love to hear your thoughts around job searching when you don't have or don't want a social media presence, even something like LinkedIn.
I read that, and here's the one thing that everyone should have right now, especially with the times that we're living right now. Everyone's locked down in their houses. If you don't have LinkedIn, go ahead and start one. People do not find people those days in the coffee shops or through meetings or meetups. We're going to meet people over LinkedIn. So if you don't have an account, have one. If you're not that active on social media, have a friend who's like living on the social media and let them help you. And make sure that your resume actually is reflected in LinkedIn, because some of the companies right now, they don't even ask for the resumes. They would only check your LinkedIn presence. some companies would actually not post the jobs. They would just like refer to their employees, ask for referrals, or get people who are engaging with their pages over LinkedIn. So you want a page and you want to be engaging with people, even if not your thing, but as professionals, we love to share our experiences. So think of it that way. You're sharing experience with people, but it's written rather than spoken, and take it from there. That's how you get noticed by the recruiters.
That is a really good point. I hadn't thought about people that maybe just are kind of technophobic or really just don't feel the need to have a social media presence. Yeah, that'd be really hard to job search in a time where you can't do a lot of in-person networking. So you need to be having that that virtual replacement for it. So no, that's a really good point. And one thing I will point out that I don't think a lot of people are aware of is, so if you're new to a LinkedIn profile, then a PowerToFly profile is probably also going to be something that you don't have real updated or maybe really complete. But if you have your PowerToFly profile as updated as possible, like with a picture and including most of the highlights that are found in your LinkedIn profile, that is a really good way to make sure that you get a second look, especially if someone like Haneen or another talent advocate were to put your profile on a list for review later. If the hiring manager has to click through and then go all the way to your LinkedIn profile, yeah, that's helpful, but you want to make it as easy for them as possible, right? You want to show right off the bat you're an active job seeker, you're really motivated to look for a role. The other thing that's really important that a lot of people that don't know about is those follow networks on PowerToFly.com, right? You can click follow on any of the companies that you see, and it's really important, especially if there's nothing there that no roles that they have posted currently that fit your skills or your what you're looking for. Following that company puts you on a follow network so that company automatically knows this is somebody who's interested in working with us. So it helps put your profile kind of head and shoulders above the rest when they go to source for a new role that just got posted.
Definitely. I actually found my job through the PowerToFly community, basically. So it's worked like wonder. Actually, if anyone wants some help, you did an office hour with Nicole on how you actually would kick your profile on PowerToFly and how to kind of like rock it in the community.
Yep, absolutely. And we can link back to that too. You can find that in our video library. All right, so one of the other questions submitted, somebody wanted to know, how should you go about seeking job opportunities during the current circumstances? And how does your resume help in making that happen?
Well, some things did change in looking for a job in those days, some things did not. The basics are the same, using what we said, using the terms that are used in the job description, going out and looking over the different platforms. What would become different, I would say, is the fact that if we were competing against, let's say, 10 people in the past, right now with all the layoffs, you're competing against at least like 1,000 people for the one position. So if there's one thing that we could do to kind of like be more appealing to the recruiters, besides having the resume updated, it's to go and socialize with people over social media. People would find people over LinkedIn and other social media places. Our community actually is a great place to go and check and engage with female leaders who are looking for female empowered ladies who could join their teams. So you can no longer just rely on the application systems and just drop your CV and hope it's gonna work. It's not gonna work that way. You need to find where the recruiters are. You need to engage with them, and you need to come up with new ideas of how you represent yourself. Some people would actually come up with videos of themselves, why they are a perfect fit for, let's say, PowerToFly, and why we should hire them. And this is why I'm a great person and you want me in your team. That's a great idea to kind of like show off, and I wouldn't say show off, but kind of like come up in a more appealing way to the companies that they would at least want to have a word or two with you before they say yes or no. So that's the number one recommendation.
Okay. All right, so we do have a question in the chat. Lacey Hereford is asking how to engage with RCs specifically, especially it's easy to find people in the industry, but not those who actually do the hiring.
You mean like the recruiting managers?
I think so. Lacey, I'm sorry if RC is not short for recruiter. If you mean it to mean something else, please let me know. Yeah, she's saying the people that would actually be doing the hiring.
So some people hate the current times, but the one perfect thing about being online is that if you're searching in the right places, you're gonna find anything you're looking for. Before you go to apply, it's like before you go to the interview, do your homework and research. Anyone who posts the job, normally you would have the person who have posted the job itself. That's your number one person to talk to. If you don't see the person, or you have talked to them and they're not, I wouldn't say responsive, but maybe they did not see your message and you want to reach out to someone else, go to the company's page. If you are applying for an international company, check for the position where you are applying. Check for the recruiters who are in that position. Search for words like people, HR, recruiter, anything like that, and be blunt and talk to them directly. Hi, my name is, let's say, Lacey, and I'm applying for this job. And this is why I'd love to have a word on you. This is why I'm going to be a great candidate. If you do not find them, or you did this and you're still not finding what you need, if you're looking, let's say, for a customer success position, go search for the customer success people in that company and connect with them. Another thing also that would make wonders, I would say, from my experience and what we saw with the candidates, use the email. Not everyone is on social media. So, and even on social media, let's say we have our community, we have people who are on LinkedIn, people do not use LinkedIn for some reason. Go to the email, and it's easy to find the format email of a certain company. And since you know whom you are writing to, just take that email, send them a direct email. Hi, this is Lacey, I'm applying for this position. This is why I'm awesome, 1, 2, 3, and this is why I'm gonna be a great fit to your company. At least you're gonna have that first conversation with them, and that's gonna be an opener for, who knows, something else might be better than even what you were looking for.
That's a really good point. And I know that, like, especially for me, I'm always a little bit nervous when I'm making those connections, right? Especially like just doing kind of like the cold messaging on LinkedIn or something, because you know these are the people that get a lot asked of them, right? Like, it's not an uncommon strategy, but you want to make sure that your message to them stands out, right? One of the things I do super recommend, guys, I'm going to throw the link in the chat right now. That is a link to an upcoming chat and learn that we're hosting on Thursday, May 22nd, or sorry, Thursday, May 21st at 3 o'clock. And it is entirely about job search messaging templates that you can use to help you land anything from an intro to an interview. So if you are wanting to make connections like Haneen's describing and wanting to, you know, really work the internet to your advantage and get in a place where you can send messages to these recruiters, I really recommend you check out this chat and learn that we've got coming up. I'm actually attending mostly so that I can give good advice to my friends that are currently job hunting. But like, I want to be sure that, you know, the time that you're spending on this, everybody has to spend a ton of time job hunting, but you want to make sure that the time you're spending is absolutely worth it. All right, so Haneen, Eleanor is coming up with another question in the chat. She says, I'm a recent graduate from a clinical healthcare program. I have had to put off starting to practice in my field of acupuncture for the remainder of the year. I'm applying for positions in health tech that I'm qualified for, but I'm having some difficulty explaining my very specialized degree. So how do you recommend somebody tackle that if you have maybe a little more experience than most people are seeing when you're applying for certain jobs, especially in a job that's, you know, maybe not exactly related to what you're applying for? How could you explain something like that, especially in times like these?
Well, I think the number one problem you're going to face is the fact that people will not get to talk to you to understand that experience. Amy, our director of recruitment, has actually shared that ATS, the applicant tracking systems, are actually like an abyss. Your resume can literally just get lost, and most of the times it will not even get seen. My advice, if I were in your shoes, I would try to make direct connections with the people that you want to work with. So first of all, I'm assuming that you have, let's say, top 5 or top 10 companies that you wish to work for. Follow them over the internet, engage with the people who are there, try to add people. Do not come as like a candidate who's looking for recruitment, but do it in a natural way, exchanging experience, exchanging your opinions about stuff, and build this solid relationship with them. From there, I think the best way to tackle this is if you something that you think is a great match, or if you think that this is the time I can introduce my willing to join their team, you could come up and say something like, hey, I'm looking for this and that, and this is where I think I could add value, and this is what I have extra on my table that I could bring to yours. In this case, I think if they don't have the opening, at least they might have a tip. They might know someone in another company, so they can do the introduction. It's going to be like going to make a whole world of difference if someone from that company would introduce you to a company in another position. You need that referral. So do it this way, plus having an eye on the internet. If you see anything that matches, And if you see anything on PowerToFly and it's a perfect match and you need a specific message to be delivered, that's something actually makes this the perfect expert to share. We would do the introduction if we see this like great value. And yeah, we're here to help.
Yeah, so one thing Haneen started to touch on there is that if you find something on PowerToFly and you are really interested in it, especially once you've applied through PowerToFly or through our website or clicked that I'm interested button, you can always kind of circle back to that. And the hi at inbox, it's called hi@powertofly.com, is the perfect place to take if you have questions, you're not sure how to further connect with the company, you've done kind of everything you can on the application side. You're more than welcome to email hi@powertofly.com, and that way we can try and connect you with either the talent, the internal people applied to that account, or we can kind of take a look at your resume and see if this is something that we can help give you an extra boost there. One question I do want to ask, because it was a really interesting one, Dania asked about if you have gap years in your resume for taking care of a family. She's enrolled in university courses to upgrade her skills, but how can she convince hiring managers to give her a chance at an internship?
She left to take care of her family. Okay, so this is one thing that the companies have become more aware of. They're more okay with it those days. It's okay to take time to take care of your family or to take care of children. If a company is not okay with this, maybe you need to kind of like restudy that. But I promise you, most of the companies that we work with, they all aware of this and they respect it. Again, having the personal connection would help you actually better explain your situation. You might also want to kind of like make this clear in when you tackle the whether you're building your resume or in your email. We talked about sending an email to the recruiters. Maybe you want to also, if this is something that you think might affect your application, you can tackle it, but not focus so much on it. Just drop something like, I took a year of looking after the family. Through this year, focus on what you have done to kind of like build and develop yourself. I was away, but this is what I did to develop this skill and that. I have transferable skills, and those are the ones. And now, after 1 year of building those skills, I'm back. I'm looking for this specific position in this industry. Mostly, the companies would not be that like they would not refrain from hiring people because of this specific position. If you have a really strong resume, that they would be interested to talk to you at least. I hope this helps.
Yeah, and that's a really good point to make, though, Haneen, is like this time that you took off to spend time with family or to take care of your family, you weren't existing in a bubble during this, right? So you were developing soft skills the entire time you were doing this. You were managing a household, so that shows that you know how to manage other people. You were probably balancing multiple schedules, probably so like a lot of multitasking there. Conflict negotiation, as it always arises when you've got people growing and living in the same household. These are really important things to keep in mind, because not only, like Haneen said, is it important to call that out maybe in the your story section or in your header on LinkedIn, calling out like that you're coming back to work or that you are looking for return shifts or internships or something. Be really upfront with what you're looking for. But it's also a really good way to call out and show that this wasn't wasted time. So you said that you've been going back to school, so that's definitely something interesting and worthwhile calling out. But don't forget about the soft skills. Don't forget about maybe skills that don't come with a paper certification with them, but you can say, hey, I developed my skills in conflict resolution or peacekeeping or whatever it was you had to do while you were helping take care of your family.
100%.
All right, so let's go back to our questions list here. This person wants to know, how can I find remote jobs while schools are out and I need to homeschool my children? So how do you how do you recommend balancing the idea of having a remote job on top of maybe people are suddenly having to homeschool their kids in places they've never dealt with that before? So how would you balance those two new demands on your time?
Well, here's the lovely part. Nicole just posted this on the chat. We have the expert for how to kind of like manage the work and the house. So Nicole is the one person you want to talk to if you have any issues, like anything that has to do with parenting and kids in the house. Nicole has the parents panel actually, and she has discussions around topics I would have never thought of. Hey, Nicole. So yeah, ping her if you need anything. But I think the one thing this is one thing I saw over social media. A mom would actually have an office and she has a paper, sticker notes that she has on the door that has the answers to anything her kids need. And she was strict with, yeah, she was strict with exactly, those are the hours when mom should not be interrupted. So I love the fact that her kids became to respect this. And again, if there's anything that you have, some tiny details, Nicole, seriously, she's the expert. She will have some tips that would save your lives.
Yeah, actually, Nicole, do you want to talk real quick about the parents panel? I know that's upcoming and I saw you put it in the chat, but I know some people might not be able to read the chat right now.
Yeah. So hello, everyone. I'm Nicole. Haneen's flattering me. I don't know if I'm an expert, but I do have a small child and I do work from home. So especially in this time, I've been learning a lot. And I was a stay-at-home mom for some time. So yeah, on Thursday, we're having our parents panel, which we have on a quarterly basis. And so this time I'm really excited because we're featuring 2 therapists and 1 life coach, and we'll be talking about how to manage your emotions surrounding coronavirus and surrounding the whole situation of being home with your whole family, and if you're trying to homeschool, doing that, and if you have small children at home. So I dropped the link in the chat, but I can thanks, Lacey. I've got tons of virtual backgrounds, especially for that reason with the kids, and so I would definitely encourage you to join me. I'm really excited and it's going to be a lot of fun. So bring your kids, bring your wine, bring your pets, bring your partners, whoever. It's going to be lots of fun.
That's awesome. One thing I can add for this specific meeting, I have a note on the door that says I have a meeting, do not disturb, and I have a note on the TV that says keep it, do not make it loud. So that might help as well.
We have another question that came up in the chat that I find really interesting. This person says, I'm a software engineer currently residing in Nigeria, and I actually have been trying to secure a job, but it seems a bit difficult because they always ask me if I'm eligible to work in the country where the company is situated. How do I tackle this? So we get this question a lot, right? With people that come to like our virtual remote career fairs that want to know what companies can hire outside the US and which can't. Unfortunately, the way our platform is set up, we don't have it subdivided into, these are people that can hire in Nigeria, these are people that can hire in the Middle East, these are people that can hire in Australia. So on the bad news end of the spectrum, a lot of it, unfortunately, is going to be digging. You're going to have to apply to stuff and find out what, it might be down the road that you find out that these places can't actually hire from your country. However, this is a really good situation to use Haneen's previous point of trying to connect and find these hiring managers other places like LinkedIn, because that's a really easy way to approach them with a very concrete ask. Hey, I have these kinds of qualifications. I'm coming from this country. Can your company hire workers out of the country I'm currently, where I'm currently located, or where I'm where I have legal working status? It can seem a bit daunting, and I do apologize for that, but unfortunately we don't, as much as we try and encourage our partner companies to hire remotely, especially around the world, we can't force them to, and not every company is licensed to hire even outside of the US for remote roles. So we definitely encourage that, but it is for sure something that you should ask. Haneen, is there any easier way to ask, or any better way that they should go about finding this kind of information out from companies they're applying to?
Yeah, actually, we also had another question in the previous questions about being in Middle East and applying. Can't get any Middle Eastern than this. So I think my advice is that you can, before you ask, you could also check the company's profile, people who are working. You can tell if a company is willing to hire people or not. But again, it was tough before. If it was a bit tough, now it's even tougher to find a job. You're competing against a lot of people, and the biggest companies had laid off some really, really good talents. So now you're actually running against all of those people. So the number one tip is make it personal. Check where you want to work, and seriously be creative and genuine about what value you are going to bring. So if it's between me and someone who's, let's say, living in the same continent that a company is located in, why should they come and take this person who's coming from abroad over the person who's local? You need to be so genuine about the value you bring to the table. That's one. And then start talking to people from there. Build the relationship even before you apply. And I promise, since you're a software engineer, there's a lot of room for software engineers. And for this specific position, they do not care that much about the location. So that's one thing that PowerToFly can actually help you a lot. I mentioned this, I found my job on PowerToFly, but I did not apply actually over the platform. I joined the community of PowerToFly, and then I connected with my current employer, our CEO, Milena, and from there we were talking, and she had this opening, would you join? I would join, and I joined the next day. So you see, this is the best scenario to get a job those days. It's hard, I know, it needs a lot of patience, but I promise you this way would work better than applying to application tracking systems. But yeah, check our remote jobs and check the companies that have people all around the world. What else can I advise? Right now, most of the companies are remote. But the problem is the ATS systems, the systems we apply for, they do have the question about the visa. So you will be tossed even before they check your resume. So if you see a job and there's a great match, just go ahead and talk directly to the hiring manager. Hey, I saw this position. Be proactive, show them that you did your homework. I know that you are not hiring people from outside the States. However, I'm a great fit because of 1, 2, 3. I have been working on different time zones, so working late hours is actually my thing. And this is where I can bring to the table. I promise they're gonna want to at least talk to you.
That is a very good point to make. Make it personal. If you are asking them for something, like asking them to verify some kind of information, make sure that you're showing that kind of value that you can bring to the table. That you're showing like that you have a real passion for this position or a real passion for their company. Something that shows why it's worth kind of giving you that extra treatment that maybe they don't give to everybody. We did have a question earlier in the chat that I do want to apologize because I don't think we're going to be able to answer. Anna had asked, she says she's from San Francisco, but she's currently stuck in Africa. But she's unable, she wants to know if you are unable to repatriate back to your country, can you find a job remotely? That is going to completely depend on visas. It's going to depend on the country that you're in, where you're from, where you're looking at applying. So unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to answer that. Anna, if you had questions and wanted to dig in a little bit deeper, maybe we could try and help you via hi@powertofly.com. However, I will tell you, like, we can't give you legal advice, and we can't be, we can't force anybody to follow the advice that we give. So, it's one of those things, like, I feel for you really, because that's a very tough position to be in. But I think you're going to have to probably consult with maybe attorneys or somebody that has a little bit more standing in the area than we do. All right, let's go back to our questions list because I don't see anybody else popping off in the chat. We've got 3 minutes left today, so I want to try and get through one more question. Let's see. On career breaks, make myself stand out.
Maybe I can take one question.
Yeah, go for it, Haneen.
We had 3 questions about age. If you are like above a certain age, how do you tackle this? How do you talk about it? You don't. Basically, don't talk about the age. If you're not asked about the age, do not bring it up. And I'm telling you this because I know some people would bring the age issue up when they are not asked in the first place. So unless it was asked in the application, do not bring it up. If the application is asking for, let's say, 5+ years of experience and you have 15, do not say 15, do not say 10+, just say 5+, or 10+ is going to be your maximum number you're going to use. Do not jump above that, even if you have 20 years. Do not do that if the position is looking for less experience. And here's the thing also, when you do apply to the jobs, it would always show that you have done your work if you change how you tackle the period that you have been working. So let's say you have been working as a freelancer, or you have a huge experience and now you're kind of like old for specific jobs. Bring it as a consultancy. This is where I can bring. And also be specific in the kind of jobs you apply to. So if it's, I wouldn't say junior, no one would apply for a junior, but if it's a job that's asking for less senior people, I would say kind of like skip those and try to focus on the jobs that are kind of like within the range of like 10, probably 8 to 15 years of experience. And again, if it wasn't asked, do not bring it up. Probably you want to focus on the years of experience for the specific skill they're asking for. So let's say if you have like 20 years of experience, but 5 of them has been in customer success and the position is customer success, just talk about that. I have 5+ years of customer success. This is where I did. This is where I can bring to the table, and this is my added value. And make the conversation move to the place where you want it to go. Do not let it drift to discussing like age and stuff that would kind of like put you out of competition before even starting.
That's a really good point. And there are a lot of people blowing up in the chat when you started talking about that. Yes, it is illegal for somebody to ask your age. But what ends up happening is that they're, like Haneen's talking about, especially in like an interview setting, there will be like enough kind of loosely structured discussion time that it's stuff like that the tone of the discussion might move to something like that. And so you want to try and be a little bit guarded and not really volunteering that information if you don't want to. Anna's talking about how a lot of jobs on LinkedIn are now asking for your age range broken down by 5 years. I'd really be curious to see if you actually have to answer those types of questions. Like if they're required, if you have to put something in just to get past some kind of system, or if it's something that you could opt out of answering. I think the other thing that you could do is you could answer something that's obviously wildly incorrect to just get past, like 5 to 10 years old or something. But I feel like that's something you probably have to be kind of play around with a little bit. One last thing I did want to touch on, because Lisa asked it here, being proactive, how long after like LinkedIn, messaging via LinkedIn or something and getting no response should you follow up? Amy talked about this a little bit on her chat. I think what we talked about was somewhere in like the 1 to 2 week span of when you've got kind of follow up to check on things. But a lot of this is going to be dependent on your tone, right, Haneen? Like you don't want to come off as too demanding or being like kind of overly aggressive or something to this job, right?
Definitely. And I think the one tip that I would give to anyone is remember that this is something that we're all in together, basically. Everyone is going through this crisis. Sometimes recruiters simply, they do not have the clear vision of where the position is going. They might be actually, this might relate to one of the questions, they might be actively looking for candidates for a specific position, but then at one point you would see that it was frozen for that specific position. So we should be kind of like practicing more empathy to the recruiters. Not always they have clear vision of how things are going, and give them time. If we would wait like 1 week before, I would say wait 2 weeks before you send the follow-up email. And the tone always helps. And one thing I also learned the hard way, you might not get the job from the first time, but you can get it in the second or third time. So try to build that relation, even if you didn't get it the first time. Write something that would make you memorable for them. So when they have an opening, they would say, she was so kind. I think I'm going to talk to her again. I love their personality. And they might actually reach out.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly how I got my job with PowerToFly. I had interviewed for a completely different role. They went with a different person who had more experience. I said, that's great. And they said something about, I think Milena, her exact words were, yeah, we'll keep your information on file. And if something opens up, we'll let you know. And I was like, okay, perfect. So I think it was about every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks, I had an alert set in my calendar. And I just dropped her another email saying, hey, I hope things are working out with, whoever you hired for such and such role. Just kind of keeping me in mind. I'm still very eager to work for your company. And I tweaked it a little bit from, email to email, but it was generally that same short and sweet, like, hey, just checking in. I don't want to be a draw on your time, but just wondering if you guys have any kind of openings you've got going on. And I feel like you could do that for probably like 3 to 4 weeks, and then maybe go to, spread out your checkups a little bit wider. But there's nothing, like Haneen said, if you think about it in terms of maintaining a relationship with this person as opposed to continually bugging them for something, not only does it change the feelings, you don't feel like you don't have that like kind of guilty feeling like you're taking up somebody's time, but at least personally that's what I get. But you also get the added bonus of, if you go into it with that mindset, then you're more likely to phrase your email or phrase your message to them differently and phrase it more like, hey, I hope you guys are doing all right, everything's going well with work. If you are looking to hire more people, just a reminder to keep me in mind. You don't have to come at it from a kind of gimme perspective. You can come at it from a, hey, just checking in to see how things are going.
After all, recruiters are humans. We're all humans after all, right?
Exactly. All right, so I see we're 3 minutes over. I'm so sorry, guys. I did want to make sure we got to some of these last minute questions. Haneen, thank you so much for ending your day with us. And I want to say a huge thank you to everybody who joined us this morning and submitted questions, both in advance and during the chat. You guys were a really, really great audience and great participators. So thank you so much. And thank you, Haneen.
Thank you everyone for joining. And Nick, thanks for having me.
Anytime. All right, so keep in mind, guys, you can check us out on PowerToFly.com. There's upcoming chat and learns you can join. We've got more chat and learns coming just this week. And I'm super excited to hopefully see more of you around PowerToFly. Thanks so much.